Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this is a historical fiction novel. It was published in 2019 and it's my fourth book by this author. I've also read Carrie Soto is Back, Malibu Rising and One True Loves, and I gave all of them 5 stars, and they're all some of the best books I've read in the years in which I've read them. And this one is no exception. I've also given this one 5 stars. It's definitely one of the best books that I've read so far this year, and it's definitely going to go up there as one of my new favourite books. So the story is about Daisy Jones and the Six, and they are a rock band very popular in the 1970s. So the story itself spans the time period of 1965 to 1979, and all we know is that one night in Chicago on tour they split up. And now we're looking back at that time, and the story is told in interview format. So the story is told through 18 different perspectives, but obviously we hear a lot more from the main characters than the kind of periphery characters of the time. So the story itself is split into 9 different parts, and we see different chunks of time in chronological order. So we start with Daisy Jones. She's the first kind of big character that we're introduced to. And she is about 14 years old when we meet her. She was born in 1951 and the story starts in 1965. And she has very absent parents, but they're very wealthy. So she is the daughter of a British painter and French model, and they're very much just hands-off parents. She can basically do whatever she wants. So at the age of 14, she goes out into Hollywood and she's partying, she's taking drugs, she's doing lots and lots of things, and she's trying to get herself known, I suppose, in the sense that she's becoming a little bit of a minor celebrity where she is, and she's allowed into all of these clubs just because people know her, and she's dating lots of people who are kind of like high profile people in the music industry. So in the beginning, she's kind of known as a groupie. So the second part of the book introduces us to the Six, who are the rock band, and we're following the same time period as we just followed Daisy Jones. So this is 1966 to 1972, and this band was created by 2 brothers. We have Billy Dunn, who is the lead singer, and Graham Dunn, who is the lead guitarist, and then we have a few other members of the band at different points in time, and we see all of their perspectives. So we have Warren, we have Pete, we have lots of different people in here. Now I would say the main 3 characters of the story are Daisy Jones, Billy Dunn, and then also Billy's girlfriend, who is called Camilla. And I would say they're kind of the integral characters in this story, but also Graham is a big part too. But they're kind of the main 3, and it's just a story about love, about relationships, about loyalty and longing and forbidden love, and there's so many interesting themes in this story, and I found it very, very moving actually. It is very, very emotional at times, and I was just so connected to these characters. I think with nearly every Taylor Jenkins Reid book, I'm just so connected to the characters. They feel like genuinely real people. This felt like a real band, and it really existed, and the song lyrics in here too, and there's so much meaning in underneath the songs, and just so much that is getting produced between them all, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really, really, really good, and I just could not put this book down. It was told so well. It's in this interview format, and we have someone who is interviewing them, but we only read their responses. And obviously another thing that I really liked about it is lots of people remember different things differently. So you never get to the truth, if you will, of the story, but you do hear everybody's individual truths. And obviously some people are trying to conceal certain things, maybe paint different things in better light, and also the fact that another big theme of this book is addiction. So there is a lot of drugs in here, a lot of alcohol, a lot of sex, there is a lot of addiction in here. And obviously in those kind of environments, different people are probably genuinely not going to remember certain things because of the influences at the time that they were under, but also just the sense that it's so interesting to see how different people remember different things at different times. So you'll read somebody's account of something, and then someone will say, oh, I remember this, and then you just read it and it's just like contradicting each other. But I think that would be very true to real life, because everybody does remember things differently and everybody has their own version of events, their own truths. And I thought that was really, really well done. And sometimes it definitely made me smile. It made me chuckle, definitely, because just the way that different people remember different things. And obviously you have so many different characters here with different personalities, sometimes clashing personalities, lots of egos, lots of people wanting to be successful in their own right. And it's very interesting to see how all of that gels together. I think the other thing that she's really, really good at is that she makes each character so unique and so distinct. So one of the characters, Warren, sounds so different with all of the others, and you're only reading kind of little snippets of interview style conversation, and yet you absolutely get a feel for who these people are and what is important to them and what drives them and what motivates them. But yeah, I do love the themes of kind of love and forbidden love in this as well. So the rest of the story is told in different parts, and we generally just kind of follow the release of the albums. So then we follow like a couple of different albums, and the final album, and then the very final one is about then and now. And we're kind of looking back at what happened. So we know for a fact that they were one of the biggest bands in the world. And then in 1979 in Chicago on tour, the band was over. They cancelled the rest of the tour. That was it. They were never seen together again. They never released music again. It was just over one night. And that's kind of what the whole story is leading up to. But it's so much more than that too. It really is just a look into characters. I would say there's brilliant kind of characterization in here. She is absolutely brilliant at building characters, and building characters who feel real and characters who you connect to and you want the best for. And there's lots of unreliable people in here as well. Obviously everybody's looking back over the decades and remembering slightly different things. So yeah, I thought it was absolutely excellent. This book is also written so well that I have some quotes in here that I definitely want to share with you. And sometimes just the way this is written is like a gut punch. Honestly, it can be absolutely heartbreaking at times. And also some of the observations are just so real and so genuine. So yeah, I wanted to share a couple of the quotes. So one of them I really liked is on page 70, and it's about lines and boundaries and crossing them. And I thought it was just really well written. So you have these lines you won't cross, but then you cross them and suddenly you possess the very dangerous information that you can break the rule and the world won't instantly come to an end. You've taken a big, black, bold line and you've made it a little bit grey. And now every time you cross it again, it just gets greyer and greyer until one day you look around and you think, there was a line here once, I think. Just so good. I think the whole story is kind of just looking at rock bands in general and the music industry, but also just looking at the kind of the onslaught of drugs and alcohol and just this whole kind of era. And I think it sums it up really well. I think it's a really probably accurate representation of what was actually happening at the time. And I could absolutely 100% believe that these people existed and these people were in a rock band in the 70s. Obviously they weren't. It's obviously a fictional account, but that's just one of the great things that Taylor Jenkins Reid can do. She can make it seem so real and just so moving and just so genuine. The next quote I have is about music and lyrics and songwriting and how music can mean so much to you. And I think it's just such a brilliant quote. So it's on page 228. She had written something that felt like I could have written it, except I knew I couldn't have. I wouldn't have come up with something like that. Which is what we all want from art, isn't it? When someone pins something down that feels like it lives inside us, takes a piece of your heart out and shows it to you. It's like they're introducing you to a part of yourself. So good. It really does capture, I think, what music can do for you and what certain lyrics can mean to you. And yeah, I just thought the whole book was absolutely brilliant. It's really well written. It did make me feel emotional, very connected to the characters. I think the characters are just absolutely wonderful. And the reason I've read it now, I bought this book over a year ago. Over a year ago, and I have been saving it because I knew it was probably one that I was absolutely going to love. I knew it was probably going to be a new favourite because, like I said, I've read 3 books by her and I love them all. And I know that Daisy Jones and the Six and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo are 2 of her biggest books out there, and I hadn't read either one of them. But I read it now because obviously the TV show adaptation has just been released recently and I wanted to watch it. But of course I wanted to read the book first, which is why I've picked this one up. I think actually I might might pick up The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo sooner rather than later. I was obviously saving it as I was saving this one, but I think I might take it on holiday with me. I think it might be the perfect kind of summer holiday book because I think I'm going to absolutely love it. So yeah, I thought this was brilliant. I would highly, highly recommend it. And thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you've liked it, and please do subscribe if you'd like to hear more of me talking about books. If you have read this one, I would love to know your comments down below. And if you've read any other of Taylor Jenkins Reid's book, I'd love to know your thoughts on them too. I definitely think I'm going to read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo next. I have decided that's the one I'm going to read next. And then I might have a little bit of a look at her backlist too. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.